Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is real life. Twilight has signed with the San Francisco Shock. I've said it before here on the channel, but I don't have any inside sources or anything, so I was caught completely off guard by this. Wow, this day was already crazy enough to begin with as the Shock announced that Architect was going to be traded to a new team. They didn't say which one it was, but all of the rumors indicate that he will be joining the Hangzhou Spark. I'll talk a bit more about that when the actual announcement comes out, just in case it ends up being fake or whatever. I don't think it is, but I'll wait till it's official, then give my thoughts on that. Let's focus more in on Twilight here. So the Shock roll through the day with 3 DPS players now on the roster. It's like whatever, they're all really good, no one really cares too much, they'll be just fine most likely, but the big question mark was, what are they going to do now? Are they going to sign somebody else? Because they've gotten rid of a lot of players at this point, so they probably do have some cap space to spare. But never in my wildest dreams did I think they'd pursue a superstar caliber flex support player when they already have Violet on their roster. I mean, I guess there was a scenario that played out in my head where I was like, I guess they could sign a backup support player because they don't have Architect now, so they don't have anybody to play main support or Ana or whatnot. But, I mean, Twilight of all people? That's ridiculous. It's so unbelievably unfair considering how talented this San Francisco team already is. These guys were already the Grand Finals champions last year. They won the Stage 2 title. They had a golden stage. They had the MVP of the league on their team. And then they go and add arguably the best flex support player in the game. If Twilight is eventually able to click with this roster and he gets significant playtime, then it could honestly just be over. A Moth and Twilight support line that's able to synergize well with each other? That sounds ridiculously deadly. I don't know how you even deal with that. There's so much consistency and playmaking potential. If Twilight can play anything like how he did on Vancouver, then this is arguably the strongest support duo we have in the league. I legit don't know how anybody could stop something like that. That is a force you do not want to be messing with. But the thing to think about here is, when would Twilight be able to unleash his full power for the San Francisco Shock? He's never been on a mixed roster before, so he's going to have to learn more English, I'd assume. But also, right now he is in South Korea, I believe, so he'd have to be playing on 200 ping, and that's something you don't want, especially if you're the San Francisco Shock. I mean, they're one of the best teams in the league. Don't hinder yourself. So for the time being, I expect to see a bunch of Violet, but when Twilight is eventually able to get back into the States, then who knows what's going to happen. If Twilight is able to become the player we know he's capable of being on the San Francisco Shock, then they are once again going to be that team that everybody fears. Like right now, everybody's like, you know, the Shock are beatable, they're still really good, but they're probably not the #1 team. But now that Twilight's there, that opinion might change very soon. Another thing to try and think about here with this Twilight signing is what's going to happen to Violet once Twilight is available to play on normal ping and he feels comfortable with the rest of the team, comms-wise. Are we going to see a type of system where it's like Smurf and Super, where they kind of just interchange with every single map? Or is Twilight just going to be the consistent starter from here on out so long as Ana is meta? Or like if Zen's meta, maybe we'll see Violet. I don't know what's going to happen, but Twilight can basically play everything, so why would you need to play Violet other than for a potential synergy? I can't help but feel bad for somebody like Violet because it's not like he was a bad player or he was underperforming, you know? He was a quality starter. In my opinion, he was a superstar level flex support player, arguably top 5 in the league, with his only weakness being Ana, and in my opinion, his Ana wasn't even that bad. Kind of underrated if you ask me. However, compared to the rest of his hero pool, it definitely is his weakest hero, but that's where Twilight comes in. He's arguably the best Ana we have in the entire game. It feels really dumb to say it, but Twilight's like their Ana specialist now, even though that's literally not what he is at all, because he can play anything you need at a very high level. But still, it's kind of funny to think about that they kind of basically just brought him in because why not? But also because Ana. It's very strange to see Twilight joining this team, but I can understand why'd he do it, you know? He probably just wants to win a championship. That's been his end goal since he joined the Titans last year, and the Shock put him in a very good position to do so. I'm curious as to if there were any other incentives other than the fact that this Shock team is a title contender. Like, is he maybe friends with some of the players on this team because he did try out in the World Cup, or maybe he has a good relationship with Krusty after the World Cup tryouts? I'm not sure what it is, but I really would like to know what other things made Twilight want to join the Shock over other teams. After all, This is kind of awkward for him as he's playing for his arch rivals. This is the team that denied him of winning the grand finals in 2019, and the Shock are the first team to ever defeat the Vancouver Titans, period. Not to mention the potential challenges of fitting in with a mixed roster, because like I said before, that's something he has never done before in his career, so it's going to take a bit of time to adjust to something like that. He must really want that championship, man. But you know, in a way, I can't even blame the guy. He's gone through a lot this year, and he deserves to be happy and find success. I mean, what else is there to say now besides congrats to the San Francisco Shock on this new pairing? I think it's really amazing for them and their fans. This is a great boost to a team that was already a championship contender, and a congrats goes out to Twilight as well, because now he's found a new home that will definitely take better care of him than Vancouver did. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm at a loss for words in this video, but I'll be honest with you guys, I'm completely boomed over this. I was not expecting this in the slightest. I have not been this shocked over a roster move in a long time. It's kind of funny in a way though. It plays so much up to the Golden State Warriors meme. I'm not sure how many of you watching this follow basketball, but I personally love this sport, and for those of you who follow it like me, you'll know that the Golden State Warriors broke the Chicago Bulls' all-time best regular season record. They went 73-9 a couple years back. They lost in the finals to LeBron James, but it was still a very amazing season anyway. But then Kevin Durant, in free agency, one of the best players on the planet, says, I'm going to join the Golden State Warriors too. They definitely need help. They didn't go 73-9 or anything, that's for sure. They lost in the finals. They need my help. The Shock give off that Warriors vibe. It makes sense too, because they're also from San Francisco. And then Twilight reminds me so much of Kevin Durant, like that attitude of if you can't beat them, you might as well join them. Just like with the Warriors, the Shock were already stacked to begin with. They had so many superstar level players on their team. Everybody on that team from top to bottom is amazing, and there's no doubt about that. But now Twilight is going to serve as their Kevin Durant, if you will, to put them over the top, essentially. I have to say though, this is big brain from the San Francisco Shock. I applaud them for making this move happen. Don't let Twilight join a rival team that could potentially knock you out and keep you from winning a championship. Add him onto the team so nobody else can have him. Think about it like this too. The Shock probably signed Twilight on a relatively cheap deal considering the fact that we're already halfway through the season. This was a steal. This is the best possible case scenario for the San Francisco Shock. If I had to take a guess, they are probably pressed for cash right now considering they have to pay a bunch of superstars. And at the end of the day, if you want to get the big name players, then you're going to have to pay the big bucks for them. From what I've heard and seen, guys like Stryker are getting paid a lot of money, so it would make sense to believe that is a good reason why they traded away Architect. They desperately needed some money. But even so, because Twilight is a mid-season signing and he's probably willing to take less if it means he's winning a championship, the Shock were able to get away with this, and it's highway robbery if I'm going to be honest. Just yoinking away Twilight like that when so many other teams needed him desperately, that is just so big brain of the Shock to do. I hate it so much, but I have to give them so much credit because it's so smart. Man oh man, what a day this has been. First Bozzy retires from the league, then the Shock announced they're trading Architect away to in all likelihood the Hangzhou Spark. Like I said, I will be covering that in a separate video when that news eventually drops. And now Twilight joins the San Francisco Shock. Not to mention that Chipsa also played in his Overwatch League debut. What a day to be alive as an Overwatch League fan. So much juice all in one day. It really gets me excited for what tomorrow could bring, and so on and so forth. And anytime some big time news drops, you already know I've got you covered. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already so you can stay up to date with all the most recent Overwatch League news, as well as my takes on it if you're interested in that, of course. And if you enjoyed the video, I really would appreciate it if you could hit that like button too, because it helps me out a ton. And don't forget to let me know what you think of Twilight joining the Shock, as well as Architect getting traded potentially to the Spark down in the comment section. And now, I'm out of here, guys. Thanks so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.